You are now tuning in to the Going North podcast with your host, best-selling author, professional speaker, and member of the John Maxwell team, Dominic Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, we're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their gifts, stories, and expertise to help you charge forward in life. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, we bring you some fabulous humans from across the globe. It's another edition of a host-to-host special, and we got one heck of a host for you today. This guy right here. Not only is he a best-selling author, my goodness, this guy right here, a survivor of the foster care system and an adoptee that strives to share the combined learnings of his time within the foster care system and his life experiences with those seeking insight on how to accomplish the most out of their lives. This wonderful gentleman right here specializes in working with middle school through high school, youth, and correctional systems, as well as in a direct depth in a variety of topics that resonate with a much broader audience. And he draws from his upbringing, which includes 22 mothers. You heard that right, folks. 22 mothers in total, and his original music to motivate and inspire others in overcoming their obstacles to success and achieving the life that they want for their lives as well. So let's give it up for this guy right here, the legend himself, Mr. LMH himself, Loren Michaels Harris. How you doing today, sir?
I'm awesome, blessed, and highly favored. How are you, Dom?
I'm doing great, It's great having you on. You're actually the third person on here with a Goalcast video.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I feel like, so I've got some alumni that have been here. Great. That's exciting. So you should hurry up and make it 4.
There you go. That's the way I'm talking about. He's already motivating.
Right. Hey, if I can do it, anybody can. That's for sure.
Amen to that. Yes, indeed. So this is far from your first rodeo. So my goodness, like what really, my goodness, like where do we start? Like for those who still have been living under 35 rocks, mind filling in any cavities about the legendary Loren himself? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh, I'll be happy to. Well, you kind of kicked it off when my story began, like everybody's did, at the beginning, or if you're an atheist, once upon a time. But all stories have a starting point, and mine was at the age of about 7 days old. My adopted mom had convinced my birth mom that she could do a better job with me, if only temporarily, and she convinced her, and so she took me home, and it was supposed to be temporary, but where unconditional love makes a play, all bets are off. So she couldn't return me and basically disappeared with me, and I never caught back up with my birth mom until 32 years later. So I grew up till the age of like 7 or 8 with a name that really wasn't mine. I was Larry Dixon, and then she unexpectedly passed away, and within a week, the courts were knocking on the door. Someone was handing me a trash bag, and that's a rite of passage for most foster kids, being handed the trash bag. And that was that. My family, said what they needed to say. When you're in a bind, it's all red tape, and we'll get it figured out, sorted out. We'll have you home in no time. And no time was 16. Well, I was 17, almost 18 when I aged out of the system. So that's how it got started for me. That trash bag that I mentioned, even though I didn't have the literal trash bag, I still carried the figurative one, if you will, for many decades. I would say well into my mid-40s. So when you carry a trash bag and simultaneously feel like you belong in one, you kind of seal your own fate as far as sabotage. So I did that, like so many. Multiple suicide attempts, a 14-year drug addiction, all the legal things that come with it. So you get that number, you get it in the county, you get it in the state facilities, homelessness, all that. But, the day came where I got it right because I stood up and told my story. And that was the day that video actually became my Goldcast. And that was that.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about. Congratulations to that. And my goodness, it's really yeah, it was a testament to really just the resilience factor, especially with 14 years being a drug addict. So what was probably the biggest thing that helped you to overcome that?
Oh, I remember exactly what. Two things. My birth mother passing away, and I spent the last 10 minutes of her life with her. And I made a promise to her that she would, wherever she was going, she wouldn't be looking down on me doing what I'd always been doing. And I can't say it had always been what I was doing. That none of that started until I found that family. I'm not putting it on them, but I had a lot of expectations, things that I just had pinned a lot of hopes and dreams on. I gave up a lot of great opportunities, record deals and businesses that I had started in my 20s. I gave them up. I walked away from them because I needed to know who I was. I needed to know where I came from and what truly happened. And then when I got there, all along in my mind, I had been thinking, this is going to be like the scene from Soul Food, where they're all in the kitchen, frying the fish and, tossing the salads and baking the bread and all that stuff, the cornbread and making the greens, and everybody was gonna just like, woohoo, he's here, he's back, the prodigal brother, whatever is here. And I mean, we actually had that weekend, but it didn't last beyond that weekend. And the drug thing for me, I'll never forget it. It was the day after everybody had supposedly driven back to where they'd come from, flown back to where they'd been, where they had originated. I thought they had all left town. And my car was being undercoated that day. So it was in the shop. And I didn't go to work that day. And my mom was at her job. She got off at 3 p.m. And I heard a bunch of, I'd been taking a nap. And then I heard a bunch of car doors and stuff. I was like, I looked out the window. I said, oh, look. Oh my God, all my brothers and sisters are back. They couldn't leave. Oh, this is great. And while I was bent over sitting on the bed in that room up there in my mom's house tying my shoes, my head was right down by the heating vent. And they were out on the front porch. It was wintertime, and they were stomping off their boots and brushing off their coats and whatnot. And I could hear them. And they said, so, because they thought no one was there. All the cars were gone, but I was there because mine was in the shop. And I heard them say, how do we know this is our real brother? How do we know this isn't some con artist that just assumed his identity? What does he want with us? Then somebody else said, oh, I don't know. But if it is him, why couldn't he have just stayed dead? All these different things. And I had never considered, it was like the day I found my mom. I dropped my birth certificate on the floor of the grocery store, and the lady who picked it up recognized the address and wondered why she didn't recognize me. An hour later, after 20 some years of searching, I had my mother on the telephone. Now, it had not dawned on me, and this is a line actually within the Goldcast video, where when this woman got home and asked her mother if she knew of anyone on that street that had a baby in 1962 on the 4th of July, and her mother said yes. That's when her mother said, but first I want to call this lady because not everybody wants to be found. And that's the title of my Goldcast, Lost or Found. And I had never considered in all those years of searching that if I find her, should I find her, what will I do if she does not want me to find her and rejects me again? And so just like I had not considered that, but thank God my mom, she did want me to find her, but I hadn't considered that the others wouldn't or didn't. And so when I heard those things through the heat vent, I'll never forget it. I never sat straight up on that bed from that point forward. I just finished it. I was already bent over tying my shoe, so I just kind of went with it. And next thing you know, I'm laying on the floor, and I was a couple feet from the walk-in closet, and I just rolled in there and pulled the door shut. And I didn't come out of that closet for 4 days. And I later heard from my mother. She said, after 2 days, your job was calling and the Toyota dealership was calling and saying, what, is he coming to get his car? Whirlpool was calling. Is he coming back to work? Where is he? And she goes, I was getting worried, but then I heard you move up there. And I looked up and I knew that you were in that closet because I'd already opened the door to the room and looked in, didn't see you there. Your bed hadn't been slept in. She goes, but I was going to come in there, but God told me, just stop. Let him be. He'll come out when he's ready. And I did. I came out, and I'll be honest, I went straight to a mental health facility and said, listen, something's going on with me, and I need your help. But I hadn't been in the psychiatrist's office 10 minutes. And I was starting to tell my story, but he was busy writing. I said, well, what's that? He goes, I'm writing you a prescription. I said, for a prescription? For what? And he said, lithium. I said, lithium? Well, how long will I have to take it? And he goes, for the rest of your life. I didn't know what, but something told me to get up and leave. And I just got up, I paid the bill, and I left. But, as the story has already been, the eggshell's been cracked already. I told you what happened. I ended up medicating anyway. I just did it from the street instead of through the pharmacy. And, somebody gave me some weed, offered me a hit of weed, and I had smoked weed before, and I thought nothing of it. But to be honest with you, at that point, when I found my family, I was like Carlton from Fresh Prince. I mean it. I was Mr. Goody Goody. He didn't have no rhythm, Sure couldn't drink and smoke. And they offered me that weed and then told me after the fact, because I saw the smoke was real heavy and sweet. It was kind of like just hanging in the air, not like regular smoke from a little joint that I had been used to seeing. And they go, oh, yeah, I should have told you. That's a primo. That's what they called it. And I later found out that meant that it was laced with crack. And it only takes one hit of crack and you may never get back. And for me, it took 14 years to get back. But when I did come back, it was because God just spoke to me one day and said, why are you so afraid of what I have for you? And my mother told me on her deathbed that day, she saw where God was taking me. And I went ahead and made that promise. And she said, but I'm not going to say much about it. She goes, but I will tell you this. It's going to cause you to be a very lonely, sad man a lot of the time. And I was looking at her like, well, dang, where is it taking me? Oh, ain't nobody want to go there, right? And she said, it's not what you think. She goes, the reason you'll be lonely a lot of the time and sad even more is because where God is taking you, you will have expectations for people in this world that are far greater than most of them will ever have for themselves. And it's going to be very disappointing for you, but you'll keep going anyway. And I remember the day when God said to me, just spoke just as clear as you talking to me right here on this podcast. And I asked him, I kept saying, why do you keep bugging me about speaking and being a motivational speaker and telling my story? Why would anybody want to listen to me? And he said, I'll tell you why. He said, well, first of all, many are called, few are chosen, but even fewer of those will choose and return. And I know that you will choose and return. That's one reason they'll listen to you. The second reason is, how everybody is, all the people in church always say, oh yeah, we're living in the last days. He goes, that's very far from the truth. You're not living in the last days, you're living in the last moments. And now that we're under the umbrella of COVID and all the other things that are happening in this world, look at Denver. They had a snowstorm, the other threat of a snowstorm now when it was 101 degrees 2 days ago. All kinds of things are happening. It's not, I don't believe, to end the world. I believe it's to change the world. And that's why we were living in the last moments of life as we knew it. That's why we now hear something known as the new normal. And he also told me, he goes, all you have to do to turn your life around is make a commitment to try to invest. If you put just a smidgen of the energy into healing, as you have invested for the last 14 years into killing yourself, you'll go places you never dreamed possible. And I did it. And he was right. I live a life today I could have never seen coming. Never. On my best day, I could not have even come close. And so I love what I do. I love impacting people's lives. I love the fact that I now know that underneath every scar that we bear lives a story. meant to share. And so I don't look at any of my scars with shame anymore. I don't. And the only way that I was ever able to do that was to reinvent blame. You know, for decades, I pointed a finger at the broken system for not looking for my mother, who had never really signed off her rights to me before they gave me to numerous monsters. I stopped blaming them for that, and I started blaming them for giving me a voice to help foster kids today. I stopped blaming all my abusers for all the lies they whispered in my ear about how I would never be worthy of unconditional love. And don't tell anybody about what's happening here, because this is what happens to kids like you, and this is as good as it gets. I don't blame them anymore for lying to me. I blame them for teaching me the art of patience, because they kept me alive during decades when men who were looking for love in all the wrong places died hour on the hour. It kept me alive until I walked right up into the face of my everything one day, and I'm still with that person today. You know, so I've reinvented because I learned, like I said earlier, underneath every scar, there is a story, every one of them. I used to believe that there were mistakes, and I was one of them. You know, when I believed in mistakes, I believed my mother, Lucille, my birth mother, had made a huge one by letting me go. When I believed in mistakes, I could point my finger at more examples of what I thought were mistakes than there were stars in the sky. But then God started changing that within my spirit, where I realized there are never any mistakes. There's no such thing as a mistake. The only thing that those things are, that they represent blessings that are in the process of becoming. And once I learned to draw, I think I told you this when we were on my show, you know, you have to draw that hand paint that yellow line down the middle of your journey road. You have purpose on one side going one direction. You have passion on the other side going the other direction. And if you don't really get anywhere in either lane until you paint the yellow line known as patience. Because I kept pulling my dreams like a nice piece of taffy and not knowing when to stop pulling and pulling, because I wanted it now. And next thing you know, it would snap and it'd be no use to anyone. And then I finally learned how to pull it as taut as it needed to go, as far as I could go. So taut sometimes if I plucked it, it sounded like a nice guitar string. But always just a few feet from where I stood, unable to pull any further, I would see my greatest dream just out of reach of my middle finger, the closest thing to it. But then instead of pulling and breaking and snapping everything like I always did, making it useless, I stood there and I waited because of patience. And before I knew it, God had picked that dream up and brought it right over and placed it inside my heart, where it couldn't be touched by anything but me. And when I learned that, everything changed. That was the moment when everything changed me, and I felt the power to change everything through me. I learned then that I don't have great ideas. They don't come from me. They come to me on their way through me to the world. And so all I have to do is keep the vessel, keep it roadworthy, keep the tank of the vessel, the vehicle filled with whatever it takes to get to the next stop. I'm the whistle stop on this tour. And it's great. I mean, it's unconditional. You know, it teaches you, and you experience unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, unconditional. You can't judge if you're unconditional. You can't hate if you're unconditional. It's hard to worry when unconditional. And so, you know, I just learned so many things. I learned about the I in words, all the life leaves us just a plethora of clues on how to do this thing. I searched the world over all those decades looking for validation outside of myself. I never found it. I found numerous suicide attempts, all kinds of things that were meant to destroy and kill, not employ or heal. Didn't do anything good for the world. There was no way of being of service. It was a disservice. And then he started pointing and showing me, like with a little pin light, inside. He told me to come inside. I remember, I'll never forget. I said, I'm tired of this race. I'm tired of this race. I want to quit. I don't want to run this race anymore. He says, well, you don't have to run that race, but the race that you would love to run, the reason you're not in it is because it is in you. So you need to come inside if this is truly to be your final lap. So he said, don't you see the clues? Everything you need is already within you. Insight, integrity, instinct, intuition. All of them are internal. If you're going to start anywhere, start within. It is the one place that nothing that has any power to destroy you or what is yours, it cannot get in there unless you bring it or invite it. And everything instantly, see, another I word, it instantly started making sense. And he says, aha, here it is. Welcome to what I call the oneness. This is the place where you and I become one. This is the only place where everything begins to make sense and it all begins to come together. This is how you can change everything and everything can change you in this one place known as oneness. And I felt like I was suspended, like a person who's skydiving, you know, floating out there like on their stomach in the air, in between two worlds. And I didn't feel like I was falling. I only felt like I was being held. And that is what I believe to have been my first true experience of living or existing within the arms of purpose. Because I knew I wasn't in that space by accident. I knew then no longer could I ever have again an accidental mindset. I knew that every opportunity was a threshold that I either chose or refused to choose. And when I choose, when I go step over the threshold of any opportunity now, in order to find my place with the oneness, before I go rushing in, like fools rush in, I stand and I wait. And while I'm waiting, I look at that opportunity from top to bottom, from bottom to top. I look at it from side to side and side to side. I look at it from corner to corner and corner to corner, because I have now not caught anything that could be a distraction out of the corner of my eye. I have looked in every direction because I am told that my creator is first, last, and always, the beginning, the end, the rooter to the tutor. It's all of it. And when I go in and stand still and look in every direction known to me, possible to me, I cannot help but see my creator looking right back at me. The arms of purpose. And so I don't sit down, I don't worry about it. I just sit and let it happen. I don't sit and feel like I said, you know, I know that there's no such thing as writer's block. Because when I write, I just pick the pen up and let it happen. You know, Dominic, I'll never forget. God gave me a lesson plan. It was the night of my last suicide attempt. I was in a jail cell. And I'll never forget it. I had gotten, what do you call those? Narcotics from other inmates, gave up my food and stuff, and had saved them up. And I knew that this last guard was going to come around at like 3 something in the morning. There wouldn't be any more until after the 7 o'clock shift change. I was going to take this handful of pills and be done with it. So I had the little piece of paper and the felt tip pen, because they don't give you nothing you can stick anybody with. Not like I'd have had enough nerve to stick myself, because I'm a chicken. So, you know, look, one time when I tried to cut my own wrist, I had baby Orgel trying to numb it before I did it. So trust me, I ain't trying to go out with no pain. I want it as easy as possible. Right. So I was sitting there and I went over to, I was going to take them and then go over and write you a little note. And I said, well, I don't know how fast they're going to make me sleepy. And I don't want to not have this note. So let me do the note and then I'll take the pills. So I go over there and I pick the pen up and I'm really intending to write, "Dear World," or whatever it was going to say. I don't know. And instead, 2 words went to the top of the page, just like that, life's page. I'm like, what kind of suicide note is this? You know? And I'm like, because I was a songwriter and still am. I know that I usually write, when I write my songs, I don't get to title them until it's over, or at least till I get through the chorus. Because most songs, the chorus is the title of the song. It's the hook. It's the part that everybody sings. But I said, well, how can this be? How can the title be on here when there's nothing on the page? So they said, why do you always try to figure out what's not there? Why don't you ever just go with what you have in front of you? That's how Bathrobe Moments, my show, came. He said, there you go again. Oh, because I don't got a green screen. I ain't got a big microphone. He says, but what do you have? I said, my robe on and a cup of coffee in my hand. He said, well, sit down and go live and call it Bathrobe Moments. Here we are 4 years later, and just named last year as one of the top 4 live streams in the country. Because I sat down and I'd say, well, let me do with what I got. Let me do something with what I have. So that night, the pen started moving. And it said, Life's page, he goes, Loren, I promise you, you will never have to be in this intersection of lie, deceit, ever again. Not this one. You will have challenges, yes, but none like this, where the enemy is trying to convince you to take your own life. Don't invite that in any longer. Here is what you need, not only for you to get through, but for you to bring millions of others with you. Follow these instructions. So it was a little poem, and I'll share it with you here. And it said, Life's page. What happens to those who give, and still they give some more? Will they yet in time cross a finish line? Is there victory? Is there score? You know, they've always said that good guys finish last, and so many believe this is true. But I refuse to give up. I refuse to believe in those words that deceive, because I refuse to give up. How about you? Well, to turn the other cheek, it isn't easy sometimes. You know, it's our pride. It gets in the way. But if you give in to hate, well, he's a predictable fate, because he's an employer that surely won't pay. So what's to become of those who believe that to be kind is in essence to be weak? Oh, they think it's a sponge to soak up all the happiness around. It's just a hunger to devour the meek. Well, for a while, they'll appear to be living on top, where all that they touch turns to gold. Oh, they'll praise you out loud. They'll even flash a smile to the crowd. But all along, it's your trust that they stole. So the next time you feel the need to betray, you know that need to have that last word. Step back and think twice. And remember the day when you listened and heard. Someone else having fun, they're spewing venom and filth, they're drawing a crowd at someone else's expense. Step back, think twice. Don't you go there again. Think twice before you cross that fence. Because it's easy to say, oh yeah, tell me more, if you're encouraging the blind not to see. But it's harder stepping back, looking closer than before. When you're pointing fingers, well, there's 3 that point at me. So remember, each day you must remind yourself that in order to be better than the rest, it's simple. Just remember that each day is just a drill, and each person's another test. But it's a test to be passed. There's always a lesson to be learned, and even still, some battle will rage. For it's your life that can never be complete, my friend, until your life has written its page. And that's why beneath every scar lives a story. Write your pages through your scars. And that's that.
It's like I'm sitting at the feet of a master and I'm wearing one of the orange robes as a student, because my goodness, so many jewels of knowledge, like it from the beginning story of just you basically putting yourself in the closet for those 4 days, and mom was giving you time to just really come out on your own time, and the powerful question of why are you afraid? I may be butchering this, but why are you afraid of what God has for you?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And I feel like that may be something that a lot of people go through from that fear. And what do you think is the major cause of that? Because some would call it the fear of success.
It is. More people are afraid of succeeding than they are of the opposite. Because there really is no such thing as failure. See, I can't even say it. I call it the opposite. Because you either pick up what you chose or you left behind what you didn't. Nothing was ever taken. You laid it down. and it'll be right there waiting for you if you ever decide to come back and pick it up. Blessings are unconditional. They don't disappear. They're kept in a storeroom, just waiting on us. That's why we don't ever have to worry about, when people, it's just like when they say there's no such thing as catching up on sleep. You can't catch up on sleep because that period of time that you didn't sleep is gone.
Mm.
You don't get it back. That's like saying I'm a relive 12.
Mm-hmm.
You can't relive 12, just like you cannot catch up on sleep. You just have to be honest and accept you have missed that opportunity. But right around the corner is yet another one. And so, to be honest, Dominique, and I almost said something I hadn't said in a long time. I hate that phrase. Can I be honest with you? Well, what else? Why you had to ask permission to be honest? What if I said no? You're gonna lie anyway?
Good point.
It's like it really. One of the things that I always suggest to people. I'm chewing a Ricola, y'all. I know y'all hear me crunching. That's what it is. When I work with people in my coaching program, the very first thing we do is we start identifying words that deceive. Because the quicker you can eradicate those words from your world, not just your vocabulary, from your world, because your vocabulary is those words leaving you, going out into the world, but you also have to stop them from coming into your world. So the best way to do that is to recognize them and identify them for who they are and what they're capable of as they come from you. The word says, no weapon formed against you, a plot, a plan. It says nothing about those weapons that you freely give others to use against you or that you create of your own undoing. Mm. So sorry for your luck, because that's where you're living when you do that sort of thing. And I don't believe in luck. I believe in purpose, because luck is accidental. The luck of the draw. Those are lucky guess, and that's what all those things tie together. Our first mind is connected to the creator. That's why, how many times have you done something, you ended up, crashing your car, losing your paycheck, going to the casino, coming home broke, I ain't got no lunch money, nothing by Monday or whatever it was. Girlfriend broke up with you because you shouldn't have went back over to Clarice's house, but whatever. And all you was doing was stopping to say hi to her mama, but your car was seen out front. Now you ain't got her. So you go, something told me if I'd have just listened to my first mind, I knew I shouldn't have, right. Because when we listen to our first mind, it's connected to the creator. It's when we do what comes after that, which is second. That's why they call it second guessing. Mm. You think it's coming in high and it hits you low. Ooh, duck to the left and it gets you from the right. You'll never get it right. So the best thing is to just always go with the truth. The only thing in the universe that will never change, and it will never change on you. So you ain't got to remember. You don't got to worry about it coming from any direction. It's going to always come right up to your face to face. That's where you want the truth. The truth doesn't sneak. It don't blindside you. It don't shoot you in the back. That's what falsehoods do. They shape shift. They do all kinds of things to appear to be anything other than what they cannot be, which is the truth. So if you learn to just deal with the truth, that's why words that deceive have to go. When you say, okay, I'll give you an example. The girl who has no gas, 3 kids, a box of cereal, and no milk. Now she knows she has to be at work tomorrow morning. She can give them water on the cereal and they can eat something to be in their belly. Okay, but what if I run out of gas on the way to work? I've already gotten 3 write-ups for being late. They said 1 more, I'm gonna lose my job. She calls everybody, nobody answers, or they go to voicemail, or sorry girl, I don't get paid for another 3 days. I just had to give Clarice some gas money. I ain't got it, girl. So she's worried and all of a sudden feels chilly. Where did that come from? Oh, out of nowhere, I done got cold. Out of nowhere. So she go in the closet. Where's my, let me get my, she can't find the thing she's looking for. But she looks down on the floor of the closet. And because of that 1 wire hanger, there's that ratty old sweater that she hates so much but can't get rid of in a ball on the floor. So she picks it up, she puts it on, wraps it around, let her hands ease down inside the big deep pockets. And all of a sudden, the fingers on her right hand feels something crunching, crinkly. She pulls it out, expecting nothing more than a napkin or an old note, a receipt maybe, but finds a $20 bill. Suddenly she goes, oh my God. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Then the phone rings. It's one of the friends that she called for money earlier, calling back. Oh, girl, I'm good. Don't worry about it. You ain't going to believe what happened. Girl, I needed that, and out of nowhere, I put my hand down there and like, just like that. She goes, ooh-wee. Yeah, and ain't it strange how you always call me back willing to help right after I find my way out? Sure is weird, ain't it? And girl, let me tell you, that macaroni and cheese you dropped off yesterday, we ate it last night. It was good as hell. That entire passage was just full of words that deceive. Good as hell. What's good about hell? I ain't heard of nothing that make me want to book a reservation. Out of nowhere. You ain't gonna believe. Sure is strange. Ain't it weird? All of those things make you miss your blessing. The enemy knows that if you cannot see the blessing, you cannot go out and be that blessing. So it makes you think that all the good that has happened is lucky, is arbitrary, circumstantial. Could have happened to anyone. But it wants you to forget who you truly called on just moments before you had it and immediately after you got it. Oh Lord, what am I going to do when you find it? Oh my God! The Creator is sandwiched on both sides of the need. But the minute you get it, you start letting words that deceive. They jump in front of the truth, like the people carrying the banner announcing the marching band. Because he knows. And words that deceive, I'm telling you, if you really study them, and I have, they jump out between words 1 and 7 in most cases. Because right behind on the other one, on the other side of 7, now comes the truth. But if they can jump in front of it, what you looking at? Don't look, hey, my eyes are here, I'm here. You know, they don't, and you're trying to look over it. Why are you blocking the rest of the? Because that's the truth. Never heard of blocking your blessings? Blessings come with truth. You don't get blessed for anything other than the truth. That's how we block our blessings, by allowing words that deceive. God says, I'm jealous. Just give me my props. You can mess up, come as you are, all that. I done gave you every out known to man. All I ask is, can't you once in a while just acknowledge, well, come on now. Every time you come to me, your palms facing the ceiling, and I give it to you anyway. So, you know, words that deceive, powerful, powerful, powerful. And once you stop letting them come out, all of a sudden you can block them from coming in. Oh, no, when I'm on my show or anywhere, from the stage or even with family, around the dinner table, if I use words that deceive, they see me do air quotes. Why you do that all the time, Uncle Loren? Because I'm letting that enemy, Cletus, you know who he is. He's going to walk over here. I let him know. Walk over if you want to. You'll limp back. Don't let me. I'll grandmama clump you in a minute, because ain't nobody got time for that. So I let them know. It ain't like it was for 4.5 decades when you use those words to use and control me. Don't get it twisted, Cletus. I'm using them to make a point, to teach, to provide a word. Now you can come on over here and test me if you want to, because I'm no longer afraid of that either, because I know in order for you to be able to come test me in any way, you had to go and get permission. I got everything I need to tear your ass up. So come on if you want to. I want to see you do it. Call the popo. You see? So that's what I tell it. And I'm serious, because I can't afford to let it scare me into complacency. Make me fearful of something that doesn't exist. Only thing I'm afraid of is running out of time. So that's why my mantra every day is get her done. I know at 58, it's most likely that I have more life behind me than in front of me. So I get up every day and I try to live this life as if today were my last. Because sooner or later, I'm going to be right.
My goodness. Complacency. My goodness. Something that we all need to avoid. And folks do get scared into complacency, and that's the way the system is built. And a lot of folks don't really see that for what it is. And you're able to find a way to actually make it so you don't have to rely on that system.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. So any words of advice, because I know you got a book all about that wonderful magic, the good magic of public speaking, as well as taking not only the regular keynotes and like tonight and the podcast tonight, but you also use that awesome singing voice while you're on stage too, to really carry the message of inspiration. So any quick tips from your magical tome of wisdom?
You know, this book I was just so anxious to get it out when I first started on the front end, because I was so excited about what I was witnessing in real time through the hand of the creator. And so it's like a play-by-play thing. Life's page is in here. I tell people about just how it works, about how to change your mindset, how to feel good about your never-ending story. For instance, like the chapters, number 2, everything has a beginning. Number 3, finding the courage to look over your shoulder to the life you've already lived, because that's how you become an authority instantly. Because if it didn't kill you, you came out the other side. See, I remember a guy told me once after I spoke on stage, Loren, you move my spirit. But but a lot of that stuff didn't apply to me. I can't do nothing right. I got 14 kids by 5 different wives, and I can't keep a relationship. He said, I just am the worst when it comes to that. I'm just cursed. I said, how can you say you cursed? I said, you have 5 failed marriages. You are probably one of the world's leading foremost authorities on what a bad relationship looks like. Do you know how many people you could help by saying, you know what? If you come home and your wife smell like Irish Spring and you use Cam A, you could be being cheated on. You know, all the different things that you know, right? You know,
It's true.
right. Yeah, you know, if her breath smell like onions and you know she allergic to onions, how I get in there? You know what I mean? She could be cheating. So anyway, he said, I never thought of it like that. And again, I said, it's oftentimes if we do things in reverse, like God told me, why do you always go to what you don't have? Why don't you look at what you do have? You have 5 bad relationships. Who can learn from that? The person that's got 5 or less. Even the person that's got 8 can learn how not to make it 9. So we all, again, underneath every scar beats the pulse of a story. But if we don't tell it, it dies underneath that scar and it goes with us to the grave. That's why so many people leave and they think that, oh, my legacy is my fingerprints. They make, a big deal about lately. Oh, I don't put my fingerprints on that. I ain't leaving, DNA. Any drop left anywhere in the universe can be traced back to you. People think those are the only things, that proves that we're individual. Yeah, no 2 swirls are the same. No DNA is the same. But when we transition, when we go wherever it is we go from here, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, those 2 things go with us. But what about that third opportunity? That one that can live on long after our tongues have been silenced. That is our story. Our story can stay here, continuing our work long after we have been gone. That's why I Have a Dream makes people stop dead in their tracks every time they hear it all these years later. That's why we can put on Mozart, Beethoven, read Keats or Baldwin, listen to Maya Angelou, or any other number of legacies or legends. And their truth feels, sounds exactly as poignant as it did the moment it came through them to us. Why? Because the truth never changes. It will never change on you. You tell me something right now, Dominique, that is your truth. It will still be your truth 1,000,000 years from today. And so that's it. That's what it's all about. Just live your truth. Seek your truths. Live your truths. Because then you have no choice but to leave your truths. When you leave your truth, they're going to be here. They ain't never going to change. Nobody will be able to change it. I don't care what they say about you. Somebody else going to say, oh, no, you don't. You can try that, but I'm going to tell you something. I know it. The one thing, just like Miss Jenkins on In Living Color. Don't nobody better say nothing about Miss Jenkins. I tell you dead over Miss Jenkins. I love Miss Jenkins. You see, Right. I want somebody like Juanita up in that window defending my truths. And God will always have one right there to strike down that serpent with a lion tongue, because that's why you work so hard to leave it.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about right there. My goodness, man, church came early. Church came early. My goodness, church came early.
Oh, bless you, bless you, bless you.
Well, we'll probably get a couple more questions, then we'll let you make a run for it, so you get to preserve the good voice for the future shows this week.
Yeah, well, I ain't lying. I'm going to bed when I get done. It's late, But yeah, but you know what? I'd stay up all night if we were doing this all the time, because it's just so. See, moments like this right here. That's what I'm talking about. Not every word has been invented.
Mm-hmm.
Not every word has been discovered. Some things, when you're within the presence of God, and you feel like I do this all the time. All of a sudden, I'll drop to a whisper, and the audience or the people I'm around go, "Why are you whispering?" I said, "Because I can't help it. I just feel so honored. I feel like I should be laying flat on my stomach with my face down, hiding it, because I'm just, how can this be so wonderful when I once thought that I was so worthless?" And so moments like when we share, that's why being of service is so fulfilling. It's so wonderful. If you give away one, he'll bring back 10. And it must be unconditional. You don't want to be of service just to be seen doing it. You can say, "Oh yeah, I can." We all know that person in our family.
Oh,
that yeah, Juanita, hey, what you doing? Guess who called me this morning? I done had to pay Charlotte's gas bill again. Yeah. The only reason she gave the money was so she could call everybody and talk about it. That's not the same thing as being of service.
Mm-hmm.
Where you don't worry about it. Get it back to me. If you can't, you can't. That's between us. Go on and do what you need to do to get back up on your feet. God bless you. Boom, boom, boom. That's being of service. And the manner in which you do that to others is the same way it's going to come back when you need it. And trust me, you going to need it. I don't care what anybody think. Oprah, it may not be money, but she done got on the phone, trust this, and called Gail or somebody when she thought, I ain't going to make it. I'll tell you, one time was when them meat folks was after her ass, when she was fighting to meet people. That couldn't have been easy. I bet you know what I'm saying? The more responsibility you have, the more responsible you have to be. So, even Oprah, the money don't solve everything. Oprah got to have people sitting in the front row seats of her life that she can trust with her life. I mean, look how many people got all that money and didn't even live to enjoy it. Something struck them down. Right. So, y'all, let's just keep it moving. This is one of the greatest times in history to be alive. We are all, one and all, in this world right now, living underneath the same umbrella known as a global pandemic. It is the great equalizer. Every man, woman, and child right now has an opportunity to believe in a way they've never believed before. And so what you going to do with it? What you going to do with the opportunity? All you have to do is do, like I said earlier, step over the threshold, choose to come into the opportunity, and choose to leave what's out there out there. Once you're inside, stand there and be peaceful, get grounded. And while you're standing, look from top to bottom, bottom to top, side to side, side to side, corner to corner, and corner to corner. And you open your eyes and you'll see the Creator staring right at you. You only have to do that one good time, and it'll be with you for the rest of your days. Don't wait until you're 50-some years old like I did. Do it today. Do it tomorrow. Do it next week. Just do it.
Oh, yeah, there you go. And then speaking of age, we're coming down to the magical question of every guest. And that is, if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but this time in 2020, With all of your knowledge and experience and no pandemic, what advice would you give to yourself?
First thing, go in the bathroom and shave that George Jefferson ring of hair off. What? Because I had that. I had that. I'm in that People magazine picture up there, right there, looking 60 years old. Because the middle was all bald. And Michael Jordan, I don't know why he waited so late to shave his hair. Because once he did it, we all did it. Now you're sexy, right? Yep. I was walking around, Weezy, George. I'm not kidding. I look just like George Jefferson at 24, 25 years old with that big old bald thing. That's the first thing I tell myself at 25, and I ain't playing. Go and shave that hair. It ain't coming back. I know that sounds vain, don't it?
Hey, it's honest.
That's what I do. I walk past that picture all the time and go, what in the world? I don't know why. Couldn't one balding person do it? I guess somebody must have. I don't know what it was. But anyway, but if I was to tell myself something, I know what it would be. I'd say this. Beware of that person that comes in the name of rescuing you and says something to you like about whatever you're dealing with. When that person whispers to you, you'll get from underneath it. Oh, you'll find a way around it. Why don't you just get over it? That's wall talk. Wow. That ain't from God. You ever heard of an opportunity called a wall of opportunity? No, they're called windows and doors of opportunity, because God knows if you can see through it, you'll find the courage to go through it. You can't see through a wall. That's why those people tell you to get around it, go over it, because if you don't go through it, you're going to be right back at that wall again. And that leads you to insanity, the true dictionary definition. Go through it. God already promised us that he won't give us more than we can handle, which means if I give you something, it's because you can get through it. Don't be trying to get around it, cheating and crawling. That's what, digging under it. That ain't what somebody do that's doing the right thing. They create a doorway and go right on through. Hey, I'm here. Right. Let's go the back way. Come on, let's go around so they don't see us coming. Get down. Let's go under the fence. That ain't nobody trying to come in the front door. Be aware. I lost a lot of time listening to people offering up wall talk simply because they knew where to rub on my neck to make me feel comfortable. You'll be okay. Rubbing right there. The enemy knows me better than I know myself. He did. He don't know more. Can't stand his old wretched ass. Oops. Sorry, y'all. I can't wait till I'm 90 where you can say stuff like that and get away with it. You'll be popular at 90 when you do that stuff. They don't stick you in a room upstairs like Uncle Pete.
It's all good, though. It's all good.
Yeah. See, my goal is I want my nieces and nephews to fight over who get me. When I get he coming to our house now. He coming to our house. Oh Lord, thank you so much for tonight. It's been a lot of fun, and just for you, I just want to say thank you for all the work you're doing. You're such a young man. You have such a bright future ahead of you, and it does my heart a lot of good when I look out and I see young men, especially young men of color, doing so many wonderful things in the world to make this a better world. So hats off to you.
My man, Loren, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Appreciate your wise words. Listeners appreciate it too. Like, this is definitely one of those episodes you got to listen to more than once. Like, keep at least 3 times minimum, at least replay it. Like, because there's so many things that you can get out of it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Woo! Well, there you have it, folks. My man, Loren Michaels Harris, baby. Check him out. Head over to his wonderful website. And for those who want to keep in contact with you, Loren, I'm assuming the magical website, LorenMichaels.com, right?
LorenMichaelsHarris.com. Correct.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it,
That's
folks.
it. Come on over, y'all.
That's right. And be on the lookout every morning, if I'm not mistaken, bathrobe moments, right?
Yeah, you almost said bedroom.
Yep, almost did.
Maybe back 30 years ago, but nope, not now. So yeah, bed. Oh Lord, what?
I got you saying it now.
I said bath. I was gonna say bathroom. Bed. No, it's bathrobe moments every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Central, right on Facebook or just Google me. All kinds of platforms carry it.
How's it going, my friend? I'm glad you made it to the end. That shows that you really enjoyed what you heard and you are an uncommon finisher. Thanks for giving this show a listen. If you really want to help out the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone that you care about or someone that needs to hear this message because we want to spread this podcast around like butter on bread if that's your type of thing. And if it's not your type of thing, still spread it around anyway because good stuff needs to be shared with good people like yourself.